Okay. So there's a lot of
no, the mic, the mount.
hello. Hello. It's okay now. It's better. Okay. Okay, good afternoon, fellow surveyors. Our CPD starts in the next 5 minutes. So let's get ready. Okay.
So when we sit here, this mics are.
So yeah, no, so when you go down, but I can still get a feedback.
Because this mic is. So where are you projecting my?
From here.
And they are speaking to it.
No, I can still have it. I'm trying to get it. Get the feedback.
Yeah,
I think you'll see. The mic is on there.
no mic, someone has. Okay, let's see the mind guys. Daniel. Yeah, mine. Yours is what we pass the mind. I have it. I don't have a mind. I'm not sad. Let's pull. I do online. It's mine.
Welcome, BB. Their feedback, everything is what they have.
Yeah, it's on.
Yeah.
It's fine. No other feedback. Okay. Is it okay? Is it okay? You can hear me? Well, it's fine. Okay. All right.
So we are so where would I be?
No, for now, it's this one at home. When you post it, take it.
Project. How about
I'm looking at the direction.
I think no, I'm sure you can see him. Yeah.
Because I can see you.
Yeah. No, if he's here and then he's presenting.
Yes, so it means that the screen is shown.
Yes, the screen is showing.
Once you share your one, you start sharing.
Yeah.
So are we
Let's start sharing the screen.
Okay. So the answer.
The answer.
So once you know.
Yes. I think people we can sit here, isn't it? How are you doing?
you zooming? This can zoom everybody.
Yeah, right, yes.
So the panel is
The final will be, yes.
No, I think when you will introduce you.
there before we.
Yes.
Yeah, then
You want
take
to
us.
go? Okay, then.
No, I will introduce you, and then I think you introduce your.
Yeah, then you bring.
Yes, yes.
You will introduce you. Yes, that makes
Yeah, there are problems on his way, but by the time I finish about 25 to 30 minutes presentation.
Probably.
And I introduce them and we kickstart.
Hello.
Yeah, really.
You introduce them, then I can go.
We're going to have an opening prayer before the anthem.
Yeah, you do that, that's the point.
Okay. Hello, colleagues surveyors. Welcome to our first CPD for the session. We want to start by having our opening prayer. Shall we pray? Father, we are most grateful for today. We thank you for bringing us together as surveyors. We thank you for the CPD. We pray that, Lord, may your presence be with us. Help us be able to understand and make this CPD a success. We are grateful. In Jesus' name do we pray. Amen. Okay, so our CPD is on the theme developing and presenting technical papers and posters for publication. And it's our first CPD for the session. We will start by taking our GHIS anthem, please. Shall we be upstanding, please? Thank you, and may we be seated. So we'll now invite the CPD chair for his opening remarks.
Thank you very much, MC. I want to use this opportunity to welcome us all back to our first session of the CPD. It's more of an academic exercise today. And so if you take a critical look at the posters we shared, I'm sure you will know that, yes, it's for men and not for boys. And so without wasting much time, I want to invite the moderator for the program, Professor Laari, to take us through an overview and also introduce the panel members for the session. I wish you all the best. Let's go to our devices and take key lessons from this, because paper presentation is not only for academic purposes, but I strongly believe that even as we bid for contracts, some of these things you need to know how to put the things in context to win the favor of the client. And so let's take it serious and enjoy the CPD. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, CPD Chair. On behalf of the Research Committee, we are also grateful to the CPD. We decided that we would do a joint program so that the upcoming programs that we have, FIG, as well as our divisional seminar in August, we can give our members a proper perspective. And so we are grateful to the chairman and ESCO, as well as the CPD, for the opportunity to be the first to present this very important discussion. We want it to be very balanced as much as possible. One day I asked my students that I want them to write a paper, and they asked me, is it A4 sheet or which one is it? So when we say paper, you have to write a paper, publication. Many people think that it's an exercise for people in the classroom. But like you said, there are some technical projects when you are bidding for, they want to know whether you have contributed to knowledge before. And one of the ways of making the community to know what you are doing, so that it's not as if you are working in the dark, is to present your findings, however it is structured, for the entire public to see that you are doing something. If you have very fantastic ideas, it doesn't matter how novel they are. Papers are one of the areas that this can be communicated, made public for people to know that this is what is happening, or this is a method that is worth pursuing. And when you do it, this is the outcome. And so I will do a brief overview. Later, we have wonderful panelists that will be helping us to do some discussion. And it's a blend of industry and the academia. And the man to represent in the industry, we all know how well loaded he is, our past president with all the experience, past director for Survey and Mapping Division, Surveyor Edwin Addo-Tawiah, and in due course, they will take their seat, as well as our distinguished academics, Professor Benard Kumi-Boateng, University of Mines. George, is George Prof? Is what? George what? Yeah, and then we also have our own Dr. Samuel Andam. I always forget the Arkoful, but I need to get that one well. You know, the Fantis are my in-laws, so I need to get that one very well. So please roll the slide, and then we just take some. Next. So whilst they share, we will do this just within 2 hours. And within the 2 hours, we'll have the panel discussion and we'll take some guest presentation within some 10-15 minutes from one of our own, so that we have a very good blended discussion. So before you write, or you even think of working on any paper, you need to be finding out why you even need to do that. Why do you want to convey that? So papers, normally, the channels at which you are able to make this information available is through journals. Just like maybe you want to put it in the newspaper, you want to put it in any other thing for people to be able to read it. Next slide, next slide. So that's the first thing to think about. Who are your audience? Today we've said that we're a professional group. Maybe the people you want to be able to convey this information to, maybe are surveyors, academics, politicians. So the audience, very, very important. That should help you to know how you will structure whatever information you are looking for. Normally, you have to be able to tell whether the information you are conveying, is it something that is very new? Is it something that has been done before? What are the schools of thought in that area? So that you keep people up to speed with where we have been, where we are, and where we'll be going to, and how you will also fit in. So normally, and I was telling some of our people that today's CPD, much as is very professional, you also realize that some of the thoughts that we'll be sharing will be very useful to some of our members that are engaged in one academic activity or the other. Because definitely in most of the institutions now, when you are doing a postgraduate program, one of the requirements is that you should publish a paper. And so much as we are doing the blend, this is also an exposition into how these things can be done, and done in the proper perspective. So normally the literature review, just trying to get up to speed, you must be sure that the sources that you are looking at relates to the problem that you are trying to solve. Sometimes people want to just put in information to occupy the number of pages that is looking out for, add images and all those things without recourse to the problem that is at hand, or what are you trying to look out for. And the information that you are trying to adduce, as much as possible, you want it to be current, so that you are not talking about 1982, when we know that this time around we have drones, we use LiDAR, and we use other sophisticated technology is still trying to solve our simple survey problems. So you need to get up to speed, at least the references that you use, unless ones that have theoretical underpinnings, and nothing can be done about that. But as much as possible should be about not more than 5 years old. The slide is not sharing, right? No, I'm around pitfalls. Move. Most often too, the method that is used, so the method section of the paper, normally you want to be sure that the method you are using provides validity. So once it provides that, then you know that it answers, how are you going to do it? How are you going to do it? You've been able to identify the problem. So how are you going to work around the problem? And most often, if you are going to submit a paper for publication, the editors are very critical about this point, because if I cannot test and I cannot be assured of the methods that you want to use, how can I be satisfied that at the end of the day, the results that you are going to present will be one that can be relied upon? The results section 2 is another critical place. And this is normally the areas that tries to present the findings of the study. And this is normally accompanied by a variable amount of commentary. You try to structurally re-echo the aim or purpose of the paper at the beginning of the session. And results, normally we present it in such a way that the relevant findings. So for many of you, you will realize that the paper is more or less, if you did any research, whether under your first degree, second degree, PhD, or whatever, you realize it's an abridged and a summarized version of the key things that you are looking out for, not the usual maybe 200 pages or 300 pages. There are some journals that can even restrict you to 10 to 12 pages. So meaning that you must, as much as possible, convey that which you want us to know in a very simple way. So you realize that when you look at the title, when our discussants, they come, we will look at these things into details. But overall, in the shape of a research paper, you'll be looking at the introduction, you'll be looking at the methods, you'll be looking at the results, you'll be looking at the discussion, and you'll be looking at what? The conclusion. And at the end of the day, what you want to do is to be able to give a very good picture of that which you are looking out for. One of the things we want to do by this CPD is to encourage members so that we whet your appetite, so that we can present our technical findings. Last year, during our annual seminar, the number of papers we received were not much. And as you are aware, FIG 2024, Ghana is going to be hosting that. And if Ghana is hosting it, then it means that LSD, we have to play a key role in being able to present these papers. So when we get to the discussion proper, the chairman of the technical committee will let us know the team will be running with for FIG 2024. And then through that, we get to know how we can prepare ourselves. Writing paper takes time, because at the end of the day, you need to do field investigation, and where you have to do some analysis, if even it's desk review. So it means that FIG 2024 is supposed to be past present. Is it May? Is what? I think it's May. Yeah, so if it is May, it tells you that already we are almost short of 12 months to be a year. So if there was some field investigation you were supposed to do, if you wait till around December, if you are not careful, you may not be able to present that findings. And you realize that the LSD seminar is also in August. And so very, very close. But it is my expectation that as we go through this discussion, we will learn, and then we will know that that big elephant we look at is just something that we can handle. Thank you very much. So I want to invite past President Surv Edwin Addo-Tawiah to please take his seat. And then Professor Benard Kumi-Boateng to also take his seat. And then Dr. Samuel Arkoful Andam to also take his seat for us to begin the discussion. As I said, we shall, in the concluding sessions, we'll also allow you to ask questions. So I know that the chat box, is that activated? Michael, is the chat box activated? Okay, it's activated even on YouTube. So you can start to drop your questions, and maybe our MC can take notice of them. Then we start to compile it. And then later we can also allow you to unmute and ask the questions. So welcome, senior surveyors. I will want you to also give your brief comments, each very, very brief, on what you think about. Oh, I can, okay, right. Yeah. So, yeah, past president, yes. Yeah, so some brief comments so far.
Yeah, thank you, Prof. Moderator. In our field that we find ourselves, we are here to solve problems. Others have done it, giving us procedures that we use in the land field to solve problems. But it's our duty also to add on. We can also improve every time what has been done before. So any work that we do, we take it as if it's casual, but you are always adding knowledge. How do we leave the knowledge with those behind us? So the culture of trying to put things down should be revisited. When we were asked to be surveyors, we came to this GHI, they told us to keep a diary. Whatever you do, keep a diary. We didn't understand, but growing up, we got to know that anything that you do, it is being done in a way, but then in your own small way, you are adding value. So that diary that you keep, it can help you to develop procedures or paper presentation for those coming after us to also follow. In the area of what Prof said, you need to have a vision for whatever you are doing. Whether it's the normal procedures or processes, you need to have a vision. And that vision is what we normally term in the scientific word. I'm the only person finding myself among professors and doctors. So at times I feel uncomfortable. So Prof, if I used any term wrongly, forgive me. What we normally do, which we have to guide against, is to try and do work to prove the hypothesis, what has been said or what you think it should be. But the procedure is to test it. Test the hypothesis. If they say everybody runs 10 minutes and you get a reward, and so people are running, maybe somebody can run to 20 minutes, there may be a reward, or somebody can run less and may not get anything. So you have to make it that you want to test it, not to prove what has been said. That is one thing I think we should take it into consideration. The other things, I think Prof has said a lot, is not to think that you want to write so much. Don't think that you have to, after what you have done, you have to write so much. Maybe one idea will help us to do certain things differently and in a very good way. As the questions come, I think I'll be able to add more. For now, Prof, I think I can.
Yeah, thank you very much. Prof Kumi.
Yeah, thank you very much, Moderator. The little I want to add is that, you see, when you started, you said a lot of our members don't show up. And they don't show up for, even the setup here will scare them. The setup where you have a professor, a doctor, another professor moderating. So if you are not careful, the mindset is publications are for the academia. And so we are hoping that we will demystify this idea where people think that it should be only those in academic field, because when you look at the membership base, those of us from academia, we are less. However, the professional, the other side of it, you are on the field. You keep doing the survey work. We rather should come to the seminars and listen to you from the field. What are the challenges you are facing? How did you solve it? I remember one time a student went to the field, those days, total station. You need to take the height of the instrument, and he had forgotten his small tape. But he was able to resolve the situation. Today he will be here, Dr. Ziga at the time. But he was able to resolve that problem and still work. So these are things we want to share with you that, look, don't think too much. The things you are doing on the field, the softwares you are using, how you are able to solve specific problems on the field. When survey seminars are organized, come back and tell us how you are resolving. For so many years, even in the classroom, we've been teaching rise and fall, height of collimation. It is even possible you've devised a way of getting the levels also without necessarily using any of these two bookings. Come to seminars and let's talk about it. So probably today, we'll share some few tips so that you know that you are even the more reason why these seminars are organized and not too much of those of us in the academic field. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, so Dr. Andam.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Writing is not just for the purpose, an academic purpose. It's a means by which we document knowledge and to help others to build on that knowledge to develop other things. And one, as it has been said earlier, most times we think only those of us in academia needs to document what new things that we find. But as my the previous my colleague has just said, you see things that an academic may never see. You see methods, you use methods that may not theoretically work, but in operation it may work. Why is it working? So you can present those, and then we can now pick on that to develop things. I'll give you one example. Sometime about 6 years ago, myself and a senior colleague, Professor Aye, were invited to solve one problem in one of the mines. And they had brought in an expert to solve that problem. And when this man comes, he was asking us about our reference systems and things in Ghana. But my senior colleague, Reverend Aye, had about 2 or 3 publications on that subject. And those publications were in his hands. And that was his reference. So anything that we would tell him, he will check against the reference. And that's what he was using. And this man is a professional. Just having documented information helped him so much. And but for the knowledge that he knew what had been documented, they would not even contact us in the first place. And our contributions would not have been may not have been appreciated to solving that problem. Just by seeing that documented information showed them that at least we had some ideas about what they needed to solve. So you putting information down leaves a legacy for you. If you document a new method, if you document a different way of looking at a problem, if you document your solution to something that may have been bothering us, tomorrow, when someone is needed to solve a similar problem, you've already documented what you've done. So it becomes easy to fall on you to get that solution out to the general world. So it's very important that we all learn how to document what we do. It's not just writing for people to read, but it's documenting your experiences, your knowledge, your capabilities that can further improve the profession. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I see that you've mostly touched on many of the things that we needed addressed. But Prof. Kumi, I wanted to find out now, maybe classically as surveyors, we have all underscored the fact that every day we operate in different fields: cadastral, GIS, remote sensing, hydrography, photogrammetry. So if we're doing all these observations, we have teething problems, even still in our settings. There are a lot of height computations and other Jordan observations and other things we are grappled with, in which till now we begin to see methods that can be best applicable. Now we have a lot of our colleagues who are even competing in other areas, i.e. in IT, hydrography, and other areas that people may assume that they have a lot of competencies in. How should we look at the structure of writing as surveyors? How should we look at it?
Yeah, thank you, Prof. Laari. You see, writing, being it technical, being it for the surveying profession, is a story you are putting across. So it starts with the title you are dealing with. And then it comes to what we will call the introduction, or probably your problem statement. Even if you don't know the title, that shouldn't bother you that much. Try as much as possible and understand the problem you are dealing with. And most often, that is where the problem is, how to define the problem, because you are going to the public space, either as a journal publication or as a conference presentation. So it is the problem you need to address. And I have a very simple way to describe that. First thing you need to do is to look at the situation. So we are surveyors, we work from whole to part. And so let's apply the same principle. Look at the ideal situation. Without any problem, how will you be able to get your coordinates? And so you describe the ideal situation from the whole level. And in doing so, you are looking at generically how people are looking at such issues. And that could take you, let's say, about a paragraph or so. Then you come to what is militating against that ideal situation. You see, there is an ideal way of getting the work done, but there are certain problems that are militating against getting that. So once you are able to enumerate that, you are gradually coming home. What can you do to offset that idea, those problems, so that you can get very close to the original, the ideal situation, which surveyors would have called the most probable value. Then finally, you state what you seek to do. And in most often, when you are doing that, it must tie in with your title. So your title you have for the paper or the idea you are espousing must link with your last paragraph. Usually in the schools, we say this project or this research seeks to, then tie that in with your title. So when I'm reading your introduction, vetting it, whether it should pass or not, I am looking at your title, I am looking at your problem statement. They must tie in. And then within that last paragraph where you have that, that is where we are going to extract the objective of the work. And so the objectives will be, so remember, your title must be seen in the introduction, and then the objectives will also be taken out of the same introduction, mostly the last paragraph. Then you come to the methods and materials you are to use. And under the methods and materials you are to use, first of all, the materials. You have equipment, you have data usage. The data could be secondary data. Probably you've taken some topographic sheets from Survey and Mapping Division. We are expecting you to describe that. Or you took some secondary data from Geotech, from Rudan Engineering Services. So we are expecting that you talk about it. Then probably you have used some softwares. We expect that you tell us the software you have. You need to be extremely careful. If if you are using how do they call it, cracker, you don't have you don't have any license for ArcGIS. BS. For example, you are going to fake. You are going to America, and then you say, oh, all maps were produced using ArcGIS proof something. Boom, is there. Esri will be watching you. They want to find out where you are. So you need to be extremely careful. If there are open sources, softwares that can do the very same thing, I will advise that when you are opening yourself up in that direction, you are a bit mindful. I'm sure my audience understand what I am talking about. Then you describe that. Then you come to the methods proper. The methods. All these things I'm saying will be dependent on where you are publishing. And so probably by the time we are done with this discussion, the question will be raised. When it comes to land surveying division, what is our format? What is the language of the writing? So you come to the methods. Now here, the methods, the trick is that if you have about 3 or 4 objectives, I'm expecting a minimum of 3 methods. So for example, your first objective was to determine the accuracy of the work. I'm just making up something. Then the first method should be determination of accuracy. See, remember you are writing a story, your title, your statement of your introduction, your objectives. Now we come to the methods. If the second objective is to map land use, land cover, then the second method I'm expecting is mapping land use, land cover. So you pick the objectives, you flip it up, and then you describe. Avoid, especially when you are using softwares to solve the issues, avoid go here, click here. No, you write also in a certain language. Again, it depends, but for us in the sciences, like our profession, we write in a passive voice. So the language is passive, not active, not I, we, no. A total of 17 samples were observed, not I observed. So simple language, straight to the point, and you keep going. Then from the methods, you move to the results and discussion. Here we don't say results with S and discussions. The discussion is always one. So it is results and discussion. So there are 2 schools of thought. Either you write the results first, so you go to the first objective again. The first objective here with our example was to determine the accuracy of the work. So the first results will be accuracy of the survey work. So the 2 schools of thought are saying, put only the results and describe it. Don't say anything about it. So if you have 3 objectives, I'm expecting 3 results. So you put only the results. Then you go to discussion. So you pick accuracy of the work, discuss. This is where you are comparing the results you have with other people who have done similar works. Because we need that. We need that confirmation, that falsification, so that you also don't write your results such that it's sacrosanct. What you have observed is final. No, we don't do it that way. You write it in a way that another surveyor can confirm what you have written, disagree with you, or state new facts. Then you come to the conclusion. And I'm sure as we go on with the discussion, the conclusion also, if you have 3 objectives, I'm expecting a minimum of 3 conclusions. So let me see the conclusion on the introduction, the accuracy. Let me see the conclusion also on the land use. And so if you have 3 objectives, 3 results, 3 methods, 3 conclusions. And then finally you come to your recommendation, where you are, first of all, the mistake here, some people have beautiful writing, then they are recommending outside what they have done. If you have used drone to map for cadastral, I know director is here, I think that we should all be open. Allow our professionals to come and tell us, I used drone for the service, and these were my accuracies. And then let's start. This is what I'm talking about, the falsification. At the seminar, the gentleman comes and says, I use drone. I have different terrains. And this is how I process. The survey technical guideline says I must achieve accuracies in the horizontal this figure, in the vertical this figure. These are my values. Then allow the rest of us to debate, go back, work it out. That is what we call falsification. Then in the end, we can make a presentation to Survey and Mapping Division and says that, look, drones will work and they will achieve this much accuracy. And that is how we expand the frontiers of knowledge. And then you conclude on that. Then any other new thing that is coming out, then you can do that. So what I have just done is what we do for one semester. So I'm just hoping, I've been able to summarize the format and the processes that we need to go through. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So that's great. So that's another addition to the earlier formatting we spoke about. So that will now make us go into other practical areas so that we don't look at the format again. But I want to find out from past president. You see, we said that the non-academicians, there are many, the technical people. So what can we do in a business with academia to be finding themselves presenting papers or writing papers for publication? Why is it important?
Prof, thank you. I think research or putting records of what we have done down will be more important even than the academia. We are serving the society. And the society, when they ask you, they need a plan. They needed it yesterday. So you in the non-academia field should be prepared to find out how can you do certain things faster than what you do now. You look at utilities, water. Governments, they become autonomous. People are not paying bills. They are using the water, others, they are also spillages. So as a surveyor of the electricity of water or telephone, what do? What are the things that you have to do to be able to make sure that whatever volume of water any client use, that person is billed appropriately and the person, you ensure that the person pays. You don't need your managing director to come and tell you. The Lands Commission, what they are saying is that it is 20 days or 2 months, 10 round. So like Prof said, if somebody is using drone and he's been able to prove that it is faster than the ground method, and you are the executive secretary or you are the director of service, the public will not wait for you. The government has set up deadlines for you to complete certain things. So if these innovations will come in, that will be the best. So whatever you do is proper, you need to write them down, present a paper of what you have done, and prove that it can do the same thing than the former one, and to help you deliver your services in the right time needed. So in the same way that academia will need paper, submit research and all that, we those who are not in academia, we need to document whatever we do, find new ways of serving the people. But all that we are doing is to solving problems for other people who may not be surveyors, or for other surveyors to base their work on ours. So Prof, in effect, I think it is more important for we those who are not in academia working for other institutions to be able to document whatever we are doing and test it, and let's have records put down. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, Dr. Andam, so how do we conceptualize this problem? Now we've all said that, oh, we need to write, so it's not this and that. So I'm sure that you have no business if there's no problem. So in that case, how will we know that this thing is a problem or this thing is worth researching into? How do we know the area of interest, or how are we able to conceptualize what we seek to solve?
Thank you very much, Prof. Laari. Many a times in Ghana, we have issues to deal with, and most of the time we want to lament and talk about them rather than solving them. As surveyors, we have issues that we face in our practice. For instance, Professor Kumi-Boateng just raised a comment, which many have been talking about, for instance. Like when we started using course stations for GPS for processing our results. And we have always had technical guidelines on how to present our surveys for it to be accepted by the examination section of the Lands Commission. But some of those guidelines were written when we're using Theodolites, T1 and co. Now technologies have changed, but those guidelines are still there. For the institute or for the Lands Commission to be able to say, okay, look, let's move on and let's change the guidelines. Someone needs to do the work. Someone needs to prove that if we change the guidelines in a particular way, we will still get the same kind of results. For instance, we are supposed to close our GPS when we are doing surveys. I understand the concept. We get a concept why we should close it. We want to make sure that the observations you are making in the field is true. But we know that unlike traversing, which one observation affects the accuracy and the precision of the under observation, when I'm using GPS, they are independent. So me closing my work in doing cadastral with GPS, although the idea is great, it may not really mean anything because 3 points may close, okay? Or my final point may close, okay? I may go observe and it will close. But maybe there may be 1 point that I observe. Maybe at that place, there was a signal interference or there was something covering your observation. And so you didn't get enough data. So when you process your GPS data, it won't fix. So in that case, it's not, even though you may have done everything, it may not be what you are looking for. So who is going to test this thing? Who is going to take this problem and test it and document that, look, if I do it 1, 2, 3, it doesn't conform to what we already know. And therefore, let's go out this way. So coming back to your question about how to conceptualize the problem, just like Prof. Kumi has just said, what do we do all the time? How is it affecting our work? Is it okay? Can we continue doing it? Is there a better way to do it? If I change it, will it enhance what I do? And if I change it, by how much will it improve what we are supposed to be doing? This is how we identify a problem. Things that we see all the time in the field. Things or new trends that are coming. Now we are going to be moving very soon into using LiDAR. It's coming. I mean, it's there already, but its application is even improving. It's coming. So, I mean, now if we are having a lot of high-rise buildings in Accra now. Very soon we need to do active monitoring of these buildings. We will need things like LiDAR. So how do we use something like LiDAR in monitoring as surveyors? These are new ideas coming. So if you've done some work, you can now share it and tell us, okay, we've been monitoring, we've not been monitoring because most of the time our buildings are not high-rising. Now we have a lot of high-rise. So we need to begin developing procedures for checking that the buildings are stable. Is there subsidence going on? We are having a lot of earth tremors now. Are some of the buildings subsiding? This is how you identify a problem in society. And once you have identified it, now see what other people have done elsewhere. If it's about monitoring, if it's about GPS accuracies, what has been done in other places? Is it the same as what we have here? Okay, how do ours vary from what has been done in other places? Then you can say, okay, because of what is being done elsewhere and what we are not doing here, we want to see if we can do ABC. It can improve what we do here. Then you can put the problem down and then move on with the research. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so Prof. Kumi, I wanted to find out now we know the problem, and you want to come up to speed with your audience, because you are just not writing this paper for yourself, but you are writing it for a certain audience. So in bringing them up to speed, I was saying that in trying to combine the literature, mind you that maybe paper may not just be like your normal thesis you are talking about. You are bringing everything together in the background and in the introduction. So what will I do when I see that maybe the problem I want to solve, maybe the ideas, all that we are talking about, it looks like I'm not finding it anywhere at all to situate my study. How will I approach that? Maybe it looks like I have gone to all the sources. I'm not finding anything related to what I want to solve. How will I approach that?
Yeah, thank you very much. I keep hearing that there are no references. It's not true. You see, the fundamentals are there. There may not be enough information on the subject area, but to tell me that there is nothing, it cannot be true. And so, for example, when you go to FAE, they have 2 sessions, peer-reviewed, and then the one that is not peer-reviewed. And so you see that those ones that are not peer-reviewed are typically of professionals. They are doing some work. Esri does that a lot. They have users conference. Users should come. Tell us what you are able to do with our system. And so in terms of literature review, look, don't be scared about that phrase. All we are saying is this. Read a little around your work. Let's say you are doing some GPS work and you are working in the mines. Sorry, I have to use the mining area. That's where I come from. And you are in the pit. As the pit goes down, you lose signals. And so that is becoming a problem for you in the mine. And it is these signals that even probably the track operators are using. And so once you are moving along, communication is lost. This is a problem. It's a clear problem. You forget about the linguistics, the grammar. This, as a professional person, 1 paragraph, that's your problem. Leave the rest of all the jargons to the academia. But at least come, my focus here today is to encourage you to come for the seminars, to come for the conferences. Tell us that in the mind, this is your challenge, and this is how you intend to go about it. Now, how do you flip the literature review? Very simple. Read about signals as far as you are using GPS. It may not directly be in the mining environment, but others are also losing signals. Then you begin to read, how are they treating it? What methods are they using? What are the advantages and disadvantages of the method? Then you begin to do your literature review around that. And literature review is just to broaden your concept. And normally I use this, which is clear to all of us. You see, literature review is just broadening your knowledge about the methods, the techniques you want to use. Let's do a typical, I'm a Christian, so I'll do that. The Bible says that which amongst you will your son ask for fish and you will give snake? Good. You are a Christian, you are a Church of Pentecost guy. You go to the northern region. If you quote that scripture, you may not get a single soul. Why? Snake is a delicacy for some northerners. So in as much so you do a literature review to understand the contextual framework of the thing you are looking at. So they don't eat snails. So you can flip that scripture, and you could have done that only through literature review by studying how the whole environment looks like. So you could quote the same scripture and say, which amongst you here will your son ask for fish, and you substitute that with a snail? You've not sinned against the Bible. Why? You've done some background check. So literature review is just only going to help you to do some background checks. Sometimes in academia, and it is for a reason. For in academia, sometimes they will say, don't go back beyond 10 years. But there are some topical areas where you are studying the geology of Ghana. It's difficult to say I don't know if you understand what I mean by, there are some literature, you can't, you can't restrict the person because the area is not developing. And then in that case, you allow the person. So the literature review for you, even as a paper, is small. Tell us what we know. Tell us what we don't know. And then let your work tell us where the direction your work is going. And leave the rest to the academia. We will come and listen to you. And who knows, we will pick that idea and then we take it to the lab, do some work, collaborate with you, and then something good could come out of it. So audience, don't allow the literature review to scare you. Just read something small about this so you know how you should go about it. Sometimes you have even solved the problem already. Come. You didn't do any literature review, didn't do anything. Just come and tell us how you did it. Then those of us in academia will test the validity of the solutions you are propounding. And that helps us to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. So I'm sure we are whetting your appetite and then we are waking the sleeping giant in all of us so that we will make our work very visible, because once we are able to do this, then we are telling a certain story of possibility. But I'm sure that this problem of writing is not today's problem, but I'm sure it has some old-time antecedents. So now that we have past president with us, and I know that he was also once the chairman of the division, maybe he should tell us what we can do to generate the interest of LSD members so that they can present their work, because now we know that it's not about the typical academic style. But so maybe past president, if you can tell us what are some of the things we can do practically to generate interest of members, so that from now onwards, when we call for papers and other things, they will know that they are not going back to the university. They can sit in their home and present something. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. This situation, probably we find ourselves, it's not new. Some time past LS, we have to wait for some of our lectures to come from KNUSC. Whilst we are all sitting at the Soviet school, we will call it Surveyors Day, we're calling them Surveyors Day. When they come, they are those who present papers. So we have to wait. And they'll pick the papers like that. So we have to sit down and look at the problems that the country is having as far as surveying is concerned. So we devise means as LS division. Some of them you need to solicit when you hear somebody is doing something. Some of our members by our training are shy. Prof said it. So we had the one that we solicit. So the first point of call was the academia. They do their project work. So they link with us to select topics, LS division, KNUST, UMAT, CAF. So we will select the problems we have and then give it to them for their students to probably research into. So there was collaboration, and we instituted awards. Best project defense that the professors, the lecturers, department will give us. The two is compulsorily presented at LS seminar. In this case, there's an award, and we cater for their participation at the seminar, their hotel accommodation, and so it serves as a competition in the departments. So we named some after, is it Dr. Okai, Udamate? Apart from the academic one, we have project defense, and Chisobe School and all that awards. I think they are still there. Yes. Yeah. So we need to either go deeper. If we are going to say GIS, cadastre, we are going to engineering, survey, and this. And that's our members who want to help, even with their names being put on them. That's from the academia, to be able to let the students be motivated. And the lecturers also have to present papers for the promotions. And they also use the students, and they also come up with ideas. So the other, what I would suggest to the land surveying division is to go back if they are not doing that. We had a problem with how to take care of them. Those times, we have to go and solicit for help. I think NILS is okay somehow. So what is happening is the institution decided to pay for the best students, and they left the project defense one So the students will come and present. They don't even have money to go back. You know, they're on vacation. And the lecturers need to know when we have our seminar in August, and the university will be on vacation. So we need to inform them on time so that they identify those students from survey school to the other areas, UMAT, CAF, and Tech, and others who are coming up, also setting up surveying training institutions, so that we'll tell them that this is what we have. We can bring our subject areas and they can, but then the other one is the industry. You realize that government will talk about projects. For the Lands Commission, you have land administration projects, urban projects, local government administration projects, and all that. Within these projects, they are solving a problem. You don't have maps covering the whole country. They said they are giving us flying and auto photo. So we bring in the lecturers, some of them, to become part of the team. They have to advise. So we're having the UST, each of the lecturers, both in different areas, in the land administration project. We involve them. They are the people who say the message and do the research for us. So they come in, then we say, okay, then why don't you have LiDAR? One of them that we designed, there was LiDAR. And then if any session in the survey and mapping division, photo, they are doing anything, we make sure that they present paper. We cannot allow you to attend the LSM now without a session presenting a paper. And so happened that it's Nwage here, he was with Waterways. Yes, he makes sure that water and sewage in their digitization, computerization, all the survey aspect, I don't know what, every year he present paper. So he took us to Cranton and Mr. Jamrat Electricity. They were also doing some innovations. So some of the papers you have to solicit. There's one guy, I'm sorry I'm mentioning names. We were at SMBD thinking, come and access for pillar. We'll tell you the pillar is at Takosumo under this tree. That boy has documented and digitized all the pillars position and their description, he alone. We heard of it, we call him, he's called Dogway, but he's quiet, very intelligent guy. So we asked him, come and present it. So some of them, you have to hear it, go and talk to the people, either through the institution or whatever, please come and present it. And we are not only working at highways, what do you call it, SMD and not, no. Most of our people, some are with the Energy Commission, some are with GAPOA. So the areas that government has given to us as surveyors, you need to contact them. What are you doing? Can you offer us a research? That is why your CPD chair was identified. And every time, we didn't know that he was in hydro. At least Ghana here, we didn't know that he has gone far. He has boat and this, working outside. And the Amaglos, they started this extension, electricity thing, going out to Sierra Leone and all that. We have to plead with them. Can you come and make a presentation? So some of them we solicit. Others, we encourage the people, as Prof has said, it's not anything that you should be afraid of. With ideas that we want to share with people. I see you here, Chief Sergis. You are also presenting papers. Yeah, you are doing very well in the new remote sensing and all that. They started also telling us what can be done. So we should look wider from where our people are working. Some of them, they are doing something, they don't want to come out. We need to go to them. So, Prof, that's what we were doing. We were motivating our students, project defense, not the best, but the best were there, but the projects that they do. They always invite Land Surveying Division to come and serve on it. But the lecturers meet, they agree that this year, these 2-3 are the best. And we encourage their supervisors to help them to deliver that paper. So at the seminar, you see that we have about 6 or so from the universities being presented and from our industry. I think we can do that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I'm sure this is also good for the suggestions you've given is good for the LSD seminar planning committee for 2023.
Yes.
I think that one of the things that you said we have to explore is that within next week, we'll open call for papers. And I think your point of opening it up to our students in the institutions is very important. Yeah, so I think even research committee, we've decided that we will do some stops in industry, academia, that is the lecturers and the students. And then this time we have already proposed to ESCO to have a fund for innovative projects, just like what you spoke about. And then when we get that, we give people grants. And if the project is big and can solve a national destiny, we try to see how we can even rope in government. I mean, if we start that way, then we will have people coming out instead of maybe running around to fish them. Some we may know, some we may not know. And this year, the seminar too, just like you have said, young surveyors, students, and other people presenting papers, just like it's done internationally. We will have maybe best paper award, or maybe if you write. And I'm sure when we give you time to speak about the FIG, this thing, you may also want to look at that. We should be intentional about creating some motivation this time around, so that motivation, maybe if somebody comes out with a very big novelty, maybe because we are hosting, we should be able to support 4 or 5 projects in line with our team, such that the people can start work. Then we know that they are going to come out with findings that will be of a national character. So I think that was very practical enough. Dr. Andam, I wanted to find out before we cross over to Dr. Ziga. So now all these things, where do I make this my work visible? So I have the paper, and so what?
Right. Very important. Writing alone is not enough. Visibility is very important. The very first place I would suggest to professionals about publishing, number one, is our conferences. Yes, those of other academic institutions, sometimes the value we place on conference proceedings is not that high, because it is an established knowledge within the academic institution. And sometimes the peer review mechanism at the conferences are not as rigorous as when I'm sending it to a journal. But at conferences, that is where everybody that matters is. So that's a very, very important thing. Number one, seek to present at conferences. When you want to present at, when you want to put the papers in journals, which journal should you be considering? You are writing technical papers. So you should be looking for journals that are technically inclined. Number one, why should they be technically inclined? They should be journals that the people that you are interested in will be going there to read, if they will go and read. So as a surveyor, I would think of the GHIS or GHIE. These are journals that are local, that people, when anybody is looking for something in Ghana, would look at first. Or if you want to go international, the Survey Review is a very, very reputable journal international. It's very, very highly ranked. Survey Review, you can put your papers there. Proceedings at FIG, proceedings at other conferences are all good places that you can put your papers at. Sometimes even poster presentations can be so rewarding. A very, very good poster presentation can cause people calling you from everywhere. How about LinkedIn? Social media is a very, very important way of distributing your information nowadays. So you put some of it on your LinkedIn. You put, if you're at ResearchGate, for those of us in academia, we at the ResearchGate, you can put your publications there, and through that, someone can even call you and ask you, can you collaborate with me on this work? But LinkedIn is a rich place for you to put your stuff there now. A very, very rich place. People are getting contracts and all sorts of things at LinkedIn. So you can put a very short blurb of the work you've done on LinkedIn. Or can you share your publications on Twitter, for instance? Can you put a very small thing on your publication on Twitter? But let me warn you, very few people read papers. Papers are not read by a lot of people. So what we're even advocating in the academic world now is that after writing a very nice paper and publishing it in the most fancy journal, can you couch up a small article from your big article? Can you have a policy brief, for instance? Can you come out with a newspaper publication, for instance? Can you extract something from it and then get it published on My Joy Online or Graphic, such that the average person will read it and understand and can make sense of what you've read? These are all good places you can put yourself. Nowadays, you hear a lot of people being called online. From our radio station, they call them. How do they get to know them? If you make a little noise and somebody knows that, oh, this person deals, let's say we know of Surveyor Blebs, who's doing a lot of work in hydrography. And there is a problem that is hydrographic in nature. And anybody anywhere knows that he's been doing a lot of work in hydrography. Guess who they will call? Surveyor Blebs. They will call him. So he puts a very small thing on My Joy Online. And that is a catchy thing. Nowadays, we've been talking of earth tremors, for instance. Let's say you've observed a lot of stations and you write something small about some of the stations moving, shifting. So possibility of earth tremor, something. And there is an earth tremor. Guess who they will call? They will call you. And the visibility is very, very important. So think of everywhere, social media or wherever.
That's fine.
Yeah. Thank you.
So thank you very much. That's very exhaustive. We will take some 10 minutes presentation. Michael, if you can allow Dr. Ziga to share his slide. I've also seen some senior colleagues who will want to make a contribution. We will give you time to do that. Engineer Dr. Ebenezer Jamra and our past ED Surveyor Tieku, Jefferson Tieku. We will give you chance. And so maybe now what we want to address, which Dr. Ziga has close to about 100 publications, which even me as professor or whatever, my papers are not even though he's still a senior lecturer, if you look at the papers, he churns them out just like water and very hardworking. I think recently we congratulated him. He took the award for the Vice Chancellor's award, and most of his papers, maybe when Dr. Andam was speaking, you realize that if you go very typical of some journals, they would tell you that you don't have the novelty. Your paper is okay, but you say maybe land use, land cover change, you say maximum likelihood, this thing. Meanwhile, people are using artificial intelligence and other things. So some of the journals, when you send it there, they will tell you, oh, wonderful work, but this is not new. Because the world wants to celebrate innovation. The world wants to celebrate what are you adding. So he's going to handle, and he's been doing most of this AI and all sort of things. Prof. Kumi, do you remember in Poland, a certain man came, was it from Iran or is it Turkey, with a presentation? The guy that was doing the laser scanning of the buildings, he went to Poland, put some things. So myself and Prof. Kumi were so excited because the vim the guy came with to demonstrate to the whole world that, look, this is new. And he's, of course, we're coming from, we're excited. So we said, wow. Then somebody, was it a professor in Germany or what? He just made one point and rubbish everything. That thing is not new. Your man was now doing A, B, C, D. So myself and Prof. Kumi, we say, Allah, this guy has beaten us because where we are coming from. So you see, sometimes novelty too has context, where maybe Ghana, nobody have used that. But if you go and present that to US, you go and say, now we are building chips compound and other things, and you are excited about it. I mean, that is not any news. So Dr. Ziga, please help us on innovation and new methods. I'm sure we'll learn from this so that as we see the different problems, we see how to approach it.
Thank you very much. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Okay. It's an honor to be given such an opportunity to make a presentation here. You are all my senior colleagues, and Prof. Kumi was my lecturer and also my BSc project supervisor and also my academic mentor, even till now. So he is the senior most. And then I also acknowledge Surveyor Addo-Tawiah. He came here recently to review our geomatic engineering document for us for the NAB accreditation and stuff. Unfortunately, I've not met Dr. Andam, but I knew he also went to China, if I'm correct. So today, I'm happy to be given the opportunity. It's just 10 minutes, so I'm going to make it very snappy. What I was given to present on was on research innovation, how to think new and develop new ideas. So first, I will start from a storyline. Then from there, we will move to categories of novelty and what the little experience I've gathered over the years, what I say the shortcut approach to the early stage of literature review, and then how can we come up with the novelties. Now, we all know that when we get admitted to pursue our postgraduate studies, we are all in happy mood. But the reality dawned on us when we start the program. Now, when we start the program, first, we don't even know the expectations from the graduate school, our faculty department, as well as our supervisors. So we just start the postgraduate program and then start taking the courses. Then by the time we finish doing the coursework and we are asked to do the research, that is where the problem gets started from. Now, some also have some level of research experience prior to going into postgraduate studies, especially when they are going for PhD. But we should understand that I keep saying that no matter the coursework and the marks that you get, at the end of the day, you cannot be given your certificate as a master's or a PhD candidate until you are able to satisfy the research work that you have to do, and then also pass through a viva. So today, this is what I have come out with over the years. Now, I see novelty from 3 categories. I classify one to be what I call the local and national based novelty. And with this one, it's strictly within your locality, your regional level or national level. So for example, let's take coordinate transformation, which is a common problem that we discuss within the geodesy community as well as the geodetic fraternity as a whole. Now, when we take a model like Besser-Wolf model is something that was proposed in the 60s and have been used since that time. Now, if you want to perform coordinate transformation for Ghana and you select Besser-Wolf transformation model, you must understand that your level of novelty you can really communicate is that, oh, they have used Besser-Wolf in other countries, on other continents, but for Ghana, they have not used Besser-Wolf in our geodetic systems. So I am applying it to determine transformation parameters within the Ghana Geodetic Reference Network. When you want to do that, it's a local and national based novelty. It doesn't even cross the boundaries of Africa. Then we have continental based novelties. Sometimes when you are doing the research, you realize that in other continents, let's say the North Americas, the Europes, and the European continent and other ones, you notice that they are proposing certain technologies or techniques. But when you look at the literature review you've conducted within the African continent, such method or qualitative procedures is yet to be explored within the African continent. When it happens like that, then you belong to the continental based novelty. Then we have the global based novelty, where you are the first to apply such a concept in your area. Sometimes people see novelty to be you have to develop an original equation from scratch, or be like the Einstein, the Newtons, and co. But we are all building on an existing knowledge to be able to come up with different ways of addressing geodetic issues. So, for example, coordinate transformation, as I mentioned, in my PhD, that is what I did. But what I centered on was to use artificial intelligence to perform coordinate transformation. So I'm adopting the concept of AI from the computer science and mathematics discipline, bring it into geodesy to solve a particular problem within the geodetic practices. And when you are doing that, you are bringing yourself into the global based novelty. And as Prof. Laari stated, these high impact factor journals, we all schooled in CUG, China, so he knows it. You cannot break through those journals without actually bringing a novelty that they see to be on a global scale, or even sometimes on the continental based type. Other than that, there is no way you can cross, even at the initial review. So normally they will just give you desktop rejection. So for the global based novelty, we are looking at bringing different concepts. You look at a discipline. So for example, mathematics, they do abstract algebra. Now I can look at abstract algebra and then adopt that abstract algebraic computational procedure, bring it into geomatic, and try to use it to solve a common problem like resection or intersection. So when you try to do this, you are the first person to propose such a concept within your domain of knowledge. And the moment you send the paper, like the survey review, Journal of Geodesy, Journal of Spatial Science, when you send the papers, you have done extensive review. You know you are the first to have proposed that. You can even have the confidence to state in the paper that this is the first time. And it is indeed the first time. And when it goes through, they will accept it. So these are the various categories that personally I have categorized the levels of novelty that we have. Now, we want to identify research gaps, and that will enable us to think new and then propose new concepts. Now, my senior colleagues, they've talked about literature review, how we can present our papers, and all that is required in order to meet a general expectation. But this is what I do. This is based on what I have practiced over the years, and it has worked for me. And most of my PhD students, this is what I make them do. Most of the time, we get postgraduate students who virtually don't even know where to start from, especially the industry guys. They have the knowledge, they have all the knowledge, but where to begin is a problem. So usually, I ask them, in your area or in your line of research, so let's take geomatic. If you want to do geodesy, fine. And you tell me that, oh, I want to do something in geodesy. Then I will ask you to identify some of the areas of specializations in geodesy. So maybe one person will say, I want to do geometric. Another person says, I want to do space geodesy. And maybe the student says, oh, within the 3 categories, I like them. I'll ask you to go and download at least 5 publications in physical geodesy, any areas, space geodesy, any areas, and geometric geodesy, any 5 papers in these areas. Now, when you read these 5 papers, we must understand that research is something that you are going to do over the years in terms of your postgraduate studies. So you must first of all know that the areas that you have chosen, that you identified and downloaded 5 separate papers, when you come back, I ask you to rank these areas according to your interest and preference. Now, the moment you tell me that, oh, I like physical geodesy, my mathematics is good, my programming is good, this is what I want to do, then I'll ask you that, okay, now let's break down the physical geodesy into different specializations. We have people who are doing physical geodesy, they consider satellite altimetry work. by looking at it and comparing with marine gravity surveys. We have people who go into physical geodesy because they want to go into joint modeling. We have people who go into physical geodesy because they want to do height unification, which is now being proposed, international height unification. Then we have people who will also go into physical geodesy by considering other gravity field modeling techniques or field modeling works, the forward and inverse modeling. Now, these specializations within the physical geodesy that the person has chosen, I will now ask you to break this division, these specializations down, download 10 papers each in these areas. Now, when you get these 10 papers for each area, the next is that when you come, then I ask you, is it the height unification that you are ranking first? Is it the joint determination that you want to do first? Now, out of these ranking that the student will propose, the one that he's going to choose will now be the focus of his research. Now, how can we come up with the new concept? And that is one of the toughest calls in any postgraduate studies. And a lot of people are frustrated at this time. Now, the moment the student says, I want to do joint determination or gravimetric joint modeling. Now, at this particular level, the knowledge that the students have in the chosen area of research is very limited. So this is what I'll ask the student to do. I want you to create a table having the authors, the paper title, summary of research/findings, methods applied, methodology can be quantitative or qualitative depending on your area of specialization. Now, this is what I ask the student to do. Most of the time, for us in the geodetic area, it is the method that defines our novelty, because we don't normally do laboratory experiment works. So it's the method that defines our novelty. So the students will be asked to download enough papers within the area of joint modeling. Now, when the student downloads those papers, he should put it in a table form like this. But the concentration over here is that because the student's knowledge in the area is very limited, we want to let the student understand the concept of joint determination, as well as the various methods that have been implemented. At this point, we don't want the student to understand how gravimetric joint can be determined. No. How the person can use the Stokes integral to do the work. No, that is not the motive. The motive is that the student must understand why we need the joint, and then understand the methods, get information about the methods that are applied. So we normally tell the student to concentrate on the abstract of the paper, the introduction, and the conclusion. Now, these three key areas is describing the entire paper. The abstract will give us a summary result out of the entire work that has been done. In the introduction, the student will understand the significance of joint, how important it is to geospatial professionals, and then why the person is actually modeling the joint. Then when it comes to the conclusion, so even in the introduction, the methods that the authors used will also be identified. So in the table where methods applied has been listed, the student is supposed to list the methods that were applied in the paper, not really going into it in detail. Now, when the student is able to do that, to be honest, any postgraduate student on this platform must know that you need consultation. And Prof. Laari will always say that you cannot do PhD and you behave like an island. He has a way of saying it, that you cannot be an island whilst doing a PhD, that I want to stay on my own. I just want to do it by myself. No. Because the moment you are able to do this literature review, to list the methods that have been used, maybe FFT method, remove compute restore method, people are using the global geopotential models to do that, etc., etc. The moment you list them, when you meet your supervisor, you already know to about, let's say, 70 to 80% the methods that have been used in that area. Now, this is where your supervisors or your supervisory committee will come on board. Now, when you do that presentation, because that is their area, they will now guide you that, okay, of all the methods that you have been able to identify from your literature review, you realize that there is one that is constantly repeating itself throughout your review. And usually that method now serves as the benchmark in your area of research. Like Prof said, when you come to the land use land cover, most of the time, maximum likelihood classification is what everybody is using because it's an inbuilt application within the software platforms that you are using. So when you are reviewing a paper in the GIS domain for land use land cover, you are always seeing maximum likelihood classification, MLC. MLC is running through. That should tell you that indeed the MLC is the benchmark method. Then the other aspect that you need to consider is that what is wrong with the benchmark method that researchers are now proposing different concepts? That is the question that you need to ask yourself. Why is it that we cannot stick to only the maximum likelihood classification, but people are now using AI as an alternative or as an improvement on the performance of the maximum likelihood classification? The moment you try seeking answers to these questions, that is where the innovation will start coming. Then consultation, as I said, with your supervisors, colleagues, and also people from different disciplines. Sometimes the ideas that we need to get, the novelty that we want, if you stick to reading only papers within the geodetic fraternity, it is extremely difficult because they are all singing the same tune. But the moment you digress a bit from your area and you try consulting people from different disciplines, how they are able to do their things, how they are applying certain methodologies in achieving what they are doing, you will notice that indeed, if I bring their concept of understanding in my area, it's going to help. So for example, the computer science guys, they do computer vision, they do augmented reality, virtual reality, they do even image processing. Now the computer person is using wavelet transform to denoise the image, to reprocess, to do this, to do this. The computer person is saying that I'm using deep learning autoencoder neural network to process the image before I even put it into the system. So when you go into the area, the computer scientist has a way of thinking in terms of the image processing work that we also do. But you can adopt their way of thinking or their way of doing the data processing, bring it into the geometric perspective, and then see whether indeed someone has even tested that technology in geometric. And by the time you realize, you notice that, oh, within the survey fraternity or within the geodetic community, about 100 papers that I'm reading, they are all dancing the same tune. Everybody is going in one direction. Now let me change and move into a different direction. And that is where the novelty will come from. And that is what most of my students, they do, including myself. Because without that, it becomes extremely difficult. You read a paper on, let's say, toroidal undulation prediction. And we know that commonly we can even use the geometric approach to determine the toroidal undulation. But we are trying to create a model so that the process of predicting the toroidal undulation for a specific area can be automated without going through the hassles that you need to go through to get those values. So you look at what the geodesists are doing. Then mathematically, what can I also do in order to push the frontiers of toroidal undulation to the next level? So the multidisciplinary consultation is very, very important. Most of the time, whatever we do is being done in different fields, and they are using different techniques, different concepts of arriving at the same results that we want. So for example, you go into the mine, they do deformation studies. The geotechnical engineer is doing it. The mine surveyor is also doing it. But what do? We pick the coordinates, calculate the displacement, calculate the velocities, and so on and so forth. The geotechnical engineer is also using the same coordinate, but rather is using other indicators to arrive at determining whether the slope of the wall is stable or not. Now, when you sit down and then you analyze this, why can't we also adopt the geotechnical engineer, the concept that they are applying there, and bring it into geomatic, or try to create a unified approach where you are combining the geotechnical engineering concept as well as the engineering surveying concept, bring it together, form a deformation model that is handling all these. That is where the novelty will come from. It is only those in the mathematical field that will say, let me develop equations from scratch. But we should keep in mind that we apply their mathematics. So we need to understand how other people are using the mathematics in their field and how we can bring it into our domain. And to do that, you also need a good literature background and also understand how other disciplines are also embarking on similar kind of work, which can help you to also get to your destination. So on this note, I will end here. If questions come, I will address it. Thank you, Prof.
All right.
I'm grateful.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. It's been brief and very engaging. Hey. Okay. Hey, this is a novelty because I'm speaking and yeah, so it's getting very interesting, but our time too is fast running. When I checked from Michael, I can see that a lot of people are really enthusiastic and participating in this CPD, because I think the last check, there were over 131 and over 30 on YouTube. So 45. So I'm sure we are clogging almost 200. And that's a very good work that is done. And thanks for all those that have joined us online. It means that if we still have this number, it means that something worthwhile is being done. I want to give our two senior men, and because of our time, like I said, if they can make their points in some 3 to 5 minutes, that will not be bad, so that we can take some few words as far as FIG is concerned. I told you the chair is here and our other two panelists, so that I promise that we're not going to take long, even though it's getting interesting, but we'll still stick to our time. So I want to invite Engineer Dr. Ebenezer Jamra. Michael, if you can, he's gone off. Okay, what about Surveyor Jefferson Atiku? Is he still online? Yes, kindly unmute and then, yeah, please unmute. Surveyor Jefferson Atiku. ED in perpetuity. It's also good to notice and see our LSD 2023 Seminar Planning Committee Chair, Surveyor Hackman around, Hackman Enchi. At least I'm sure this falls squarely on him. I deputize him in the committee, and this is very important to us. And I'm sure that before we end, we'll talk about the team, just as we will do in FIG.
Hello. Am I online?
Please unmute.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Thank you very much, sir. Now, I was 5 minutes late, so pardon me if my contribution is off mark. Did we remember to acknowledge past Kingsley Boateng? My question arises from the fact that for some time now, he has been performing the function you are performing now, being the MC. So I think being this the first one, after he has left, we need to acknowledge him. If we have not done that, please let's do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, it's something that will be done. Thank you. Yes. When the MC comes, he will do that. So after when we hand over to the CPD chair, it will be handled. Thank you for the reminder. Yes. So, Emmanuel. Ima, please unmute. Then let's move to the next. Or he's speaking. Then let's move to the next. Elikem, please unmute. And please do that in 3 minutes. Okay, I'm not sure. Yes, so let's continue. So, past president, you are the chairman of the FIG. Oh, no, let's move on now, at least the time. As the chairman of the FIG LOC Technical Subcommittee, we've already underscored the fact that it's a big event in 2024, and we are just concluding in our quest to beef up and spice up, as well as motivate and ginger people to bring out all the technical things that they know to bear. Can you please tell us the team will be operating and what your advice will be as we prepare as far as our paper presentations will be concerned?
Thank you, Prof. In 2024, Ghana will be representing Africa. Though it's a global conference, Ghana will lead Africa to welcome all surveyors around the world. So I was so lucky that the committee that the LOC set up for the technical one, I had 2 professors and 2 doctors, PhD. I'm the only a small boy amongst them, and they are helping me a lot. So we had to look at the problems that we have to solve in Africa if we want to alleviate poverty and come out of always going to ask people for money. One of the areas we saw was that we have our mineral resources. How do we harness them? As far as good health issues, education, and other social issues competing with each other, we need to have money to sustain whatever program we want to do. How is it going to affect surveying? In as much as we want to use our mineral resources, we have to also be careful about the environment. How do we sustain our environment? In Ghana, we have the forestry sector, mining sector. We need to mine. How do we also protect the forestry sector and the agri sector? These 3 main things that our committee identified that is cutting across Africa. So we came out with about 3 themes. And then luckily for Ghana, when we send it to the FIG Global Committee, they pick one. At times they will let you go to and from, forth and back. But in our case, because I have these professors with me, when we took it, they accepted ours. So the theme is your world, our world. Resilient environment and sustainable resource management for all. So this is the theme that the FIG and Ghana 2024 Congress accepted. If I have to go further, I've explained that we need to solve a problem. We have our water bodies being polluted. We have our social and economic sector going down. How do we use digitization or automation to make sure that we get our revenue, a financial sector? So we look at what is happening, the problem we are facing. How do we generate even revenue in-house from property tax, valuation? How do we make sure that construction values are as it should be? How do we make sure that we also reduce in all aspects of our issue of corruption, and then also making sure that the vulnerable group are protected? Are we billing everybody? Maybe those who can pay and those who cannot pay. So all those issues in our sectors we'll look at, and we felt that under this team, we can handle them. Resilient means be able to come out to support a like disaster management. Are we prepared for that? Clean water. Green is making sure that we do things so as to make sure that whatever we take out, we get it back, we replenish them. So we realize that in Africa and in Ghana, this team will tease out proposals from people both within and outside to be able to come out and then present something which all Africa and developing world can also use. We are also not leaving education and investment in technology out. If you are going to use real-time satellite data to monitor our environment, we're going to use new things like drones. In agriculture, we have a commercial agriculture being automated. How do we come in? Dams and irrigation. So this team covers all, and we expect that we have to host and present. Football, they say host and win. If we don't try to present paper in all these areas, you will not see the Ghanaian one. So we played with you, we'll be there with you. We are here to work with you, all surveyors in Ghana. When I say surveyors, I'm not talking about only land surveyors. Valuers, quantity surveyors is all our conference, so that we have only 1 year. In a month, we shall call out for papers, and we shall come to some of you who may be shy and will rely on the universities. They are our main people, and those in industry, as Prof has said, that we should come out, whatever we are doing, we should try and write something as we've been told how to go about it, and host and present. Otherwise, I'm not picking up any country. They'll bring some papers and come and present all. They are close to you. For them, anything is paper. So let us make sure that in all the fields that we are working, we try and pencil something down, and our team will be coming to you. That's the technical committee. Our Professor Kumi-Boateng, my friend, and academia, my boss here, is a member. Professor Laari is a member. Dr. Kuaji, and then Dr. Tina Wemega. We've also adopted Dr. Nadede in industry, Mr. Kante from Lands Commission, and Alex from the photogrammetry session. We have adopted them. We also adopted my good friend Nwagwe from water, and most of you will be calling on you so that we ask you to motivate you somehow, not maybe with money, but with words, to come out with the research, good research that you are doing in your various offices and institutions. Prof, there are 11 sub-themes under this main team. As I said, utility, agriculture, cadastral, land administration, land valuation, all linking up to making sure that we serve everybody. And we link it to the 17 sustainable goals of the UN, which we need to make sure that if it's being implemented, whether we are monitoring it, how can geospatial data and innovations help us to monitor all those things? Prof, I think I'm done.
Yeah, thank you very much. So once chairman of LSD seminar committee is here, and I'm also his vice, we will also want you to know that the LSD seminar in August, the theme will be smart thinking, geospatial solution for Ghana's digitized economy. And as past president was speaking, you could realize that this our team is part of one of the sub teams. And so we have 13 categories. And this time around, like we said, We wanted to have something new, something unique, something innovative, so that it's not our usual, maybe just cadastral. But when you say smart thinking, all the facets of surveying and all the discipline, you need to look for more efficient methods. And if they are talking about digitalization, whether with the Z or with the whatever, I'm sure that we as surveyors should be at the forefront, because everything hinges on location. And if everything hinges on location, then how are we going to add more value and character to it? So whether it is cadastral, whether it is GIS, then which way are we going to look at it? So we have sub-teams: geospatial application for land management system, smart technologies for cadastral survey and mapping. What innovations can we bring to bear in cadastral survey practice? Geospatial techniques in revenue mobilization. This time you want to go and pick your kits, and then I think that Dr. Ziga was talking about it, the computer science. You realize that the other analogous disciplines, it looks like they are even taking over our jobs and things that we are supposed to do. Because you go to pick your child, and then you have simple software. Wherever you are, it can compute the time, and then it can notify the school administrators. And then by the time you get there, your ward is waiting for you. There are several ways now. You go to most of the supermarkets and other things. We have developed some of this very simple. So even in revenue mobilization, geo-management, economic development, land use planning, business development, crime, disaster, flood-prone areas, poverty eradication, remote sensing, GIS for agricultural services, artificial intelligence and data for utility services, smart grid integration, digital earth observation. We want it to be as open as possible, so that we allow members not to be limited, so that you can write from anywhere, and then you can be doing the smart thinking. So just as the team for FIG, we are encouraging everybody, maybe after this session, past president, when all the abstracts and synopsis are done, maybe in-house, we will try to start ahead and maybe put it on the platform for people to begin to know and prepare themselves before we do the professional one and send to FIG, so that at least we will be ahead. I'd like to take some maybe very final comments from Prof. Kumi, and then I can move to Dr. Andam and come back to past president as we conclude. So, Prof, it's like we've had a very good session today. What will be your final words to our audience and all of us as far as paper writing is concerned?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think this has been quite fruitful. But as an academic myself, the take home for our audience for me today shouldn't be too much of the academic type of writing, at least for a start, so that we can get, you see, the majority of the members are not in academic field. Meanwhile, these are the people who are on the field. I want to encourage you that we are going to Tamale, right? We are going to Tamale. I want to encourage as many as possible, especially our friends who are even in SMD. You are receiving our data. You are examining it. You could pick for the whole region. Look at 2 years. The documents that they have presented to you, the errors you have seen, why you think those errors are occurring. Come and do that presentation. At least we will pick something out of it. Surveyor Blebu has been on the waters for a very long time. What have you seen? How are you solving problems? You are living in a mountainous environment. You pick the coordinates of 2 points, or you are involved in, let's say, compensation surveys. Some farmers are in a valley. You pick the coordinates at the top, neglecting the middle one. Then you realize that you are either shortchanging the farmers. Come and tell us. Or you are on the summit of a mountain. You pick the coordinates, you go to set up, and you always realize that there is a shortage. Come and tell us why you think that is happening. And then that could ginger the academic people to understand what is going on. You buy a GPS, There is some arrow on top of that machine. What is it for? Must it turn to the north all the time? Try to do something. You fidget with it. When you are picking your data, fidget with the instrument. So I see people cover, you are passing by and they are covering the GPS. What is the effect? Okay, try to do something, cover it, pick the data. Come, let's talk about it. So don't be too scared about the publication. You come, the field work you are doing, you have done it over a long period of time. Come and tell us what you see. And then those of us who have taken it upon ourselves, we publish for our livelihood. That is what we do. So that when we come for the seminar, I am interested in seeing Surv telling me how he did his surveys, the sonars, how he was able to determine the topography of a river bed. I want to see how he's doing it. And then probably we will pick the theoretical concepts and then apply the skills Dr. Ziga just shared with us. And our profession will be a force to reckon with. So please come to Tamale. Forget about the language. Come with your PowerPoint. Come and tell us the work you are doing. And then from there, we will ship it up. Finally, we on the panel, as I was discussing with that probably we need to make the work also a bit easier. You go to other jurisdiction, the formatting, there is a template, descriptions are there, your referencing style. So you simply type in. So probably the research team, we could do that for you, launch that on the platform, and then you simply just type in, just type whatever you see. Forget about the language, forget about the grammar, and then those of us in academia can team up with you, and then we get into the novelty. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Andam.
Yes, my senior colleague has said it all. Writing is not a big mountain that you cannot scale. Would encourage you to collaborate with professionals in other fields, collaborate with people in academia. Sometimes you have data, how to analyze the data may be a problem. Don't you worry. Talk to somebody in academia. Then I have a new girlfriend on the blog, which almost all of you know. ChatGPT is a very helpful tool in writing, a very helpful tool even to structure a particular kind of research. So you can also begin to look at this kind of generative AI tools like the Bard, ChatGPT, and Co. to help you put your thoughts together and to help you even write what you want to work on. I'm not saying you should let the AI write for you, but let it help you to write. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Past President.
Thank you, Prof. And thank you all, our audience. We are delivering services to the people we call clients. Most of we surveyors, we don't use our data. Most of the time, it serves as an input to others. So we are conscious of time, quality, and at time, sound cost in the delivering of our services. In doing this, we come out to so many innovations. It's daily, but we don't recognize it. So let us use this opportunity to write small, what we think is small, and we have been given the format to present. You are trying to help surveying in Ghana and in the world, in your small chamber. So put things together and please be bold to come out to present, because I believe we have done a lot of things and innovations and other ideas. You do it every day. We want you to come out and present. If, as far as the FIG is concerned, people will be going to America, but this time they are coming to us. Let us host and win and present in each of the sectors, each of the commissions of the FIG. We should make sure that our people are there and your papers will be peer reviewed. And we hope that will merit to be given the chance to present. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yes. Then you have to come here so that they will. Yes.
Thank you, Chairman. Paper presentation. It's been a problem to our people, as the panelists said, because surveyors, all we know is the four corners. Now, if the research committee will actually find a way of trying to group us, like two people presenting some paper, just 2 or 3 people come together, present this, let's see, then they bring it up to you, then you refine it for us. Then I think if we actually carry along with that spirit for a long time, I think it will go a long way to help us by your assistance. That's all I want. Thank you very much.
Okay, all right, okay, all right. So let's also give our seminar planning committee chair, Surveyor Robert Hackman, the opportunity to also give us some few words. I have some other questions which I'll be reading soon. I rather thought.
Thank you, Chairman. I think that all has been said about the upcoming seminar. We are putting everything together, and I want to say that we are very much on course. And so we'll be expecting everybody to participate or come along with us, Tamale, and participate fully. As has been said, if you need any further information, you may call me directly or call any of the planning committee members. That includes Prof. Laari himself. And I believe that we are going to have a very successful seminar. I also want to add that I went for FIG in Vietnam. And in Vietnam, what I saw was that there were so many paper presentations. And most of them, I don't even know whether they are students or the Vietnamese, plenty of them. And you cannot even identify, they just come. Every hardcore session you enter, they will be there presenting papers. I don't know how they were guided to do that, but it was so nice. So I want to encourage everybody to also help and then at least try to put in something this time. Thank you.
Yeah, hello. Okay, thank you. A question from Samuel Ose. What causes the differences in coordinate processed by same software, say TopCon tools, on different machines? Sometimes the differences are more than 1.5 feet. So this is a clear case of a research we want you to do. So that's a very wonderful, yes. Yes. So it means that you are really understanding what we are talking about. And these are the questions we want to ask. When it's raining, you put a rubber on the thing. Is it affecting the readings, or maybe the sun is too high, or maybe when the length of the tripod or the pole? I mean, these are all interesting things we shouldn't take for granted. That's why Prof. Kubi was saying that that's our day-to-day. So sometimes you may bring something that somebody say, this was why I got that error, or that was why, you see, but you are just in your room and then you think that it is normal. So also a very, very good question. Maybe by the next CPD.
Add something.
Yes.
Because we were not in the classroom and doing an academic exercise. These days, there is also something called letters. You don't wait. So things like this, gather the various software processes and the results you are getting from the two sites. Come to the seminar and ask those questions to the vendors, to the people who are available to provide solutions. So letters are also ways of getting the things you are doing also out. So in as much as we don't want to sit here and answer that question, bring it to Tamale. Or he's asking, I am sure, because he has seen that occurring. So bring that data Bring that data. And I'm told my senior man now is the chief examiner. I will be glad. And fortunately, he's also the planning committee, that maybe it may be too short for him. But if we could coordinate the whole of Ghana, common mistakes we are making in presenting our cadastral data for examination and for approval. Common mistakes, both sides. And then you do that presentation to us and tell us the effect it is if we don't check this, the effect it is going to have on the economy of Ghana one day. It will be beautiful. So please, let's do that. So Senior, over to you.
That's the smart thinking in cadastral practice. So it means that paper can come in that. So another also asks that can a person with HND in a particular discipline, backed by a wealth of experience in same area, pursue a master's degree in the same field? So I think this one you want to find out if you can do masters. Yes, some jurisdiction it works, not in all other areas. Yes. It will be interesting to know. It will be interesting to know what is the trending topic or topical issue to research on in surveying. So what we are saying is that all the areas, there are a lot of things you can look out for. So we will not limit you by saying that maybe these are the days of drones, or maybe these are the days of what's your this thing, Dr. Andam, the new technology, what is it? CH what? We may not limit you to that, because you see, there are some traditional methods, as we may say, which we can still have some things out of it. So what is trending may not mean that that is the only area. I don't know if somebody wants to come. He says that what is the trending topic? What is the trending topic? I don't know if we are able to determine that.
Well, trending topics vary a lot. So I wouldn't pinpoint one thing in our profession. But of course, AI holds a very big sway in whatever we are doing now. So that's one thing that you can be looking at when it comes to new trends. But it is not limited to just new things. Guidelines, for instance, things that really relate to us, our technical guidelines, do they need to be updated? How do they perform in comparison to new methodologies that we have? Yeah, so a lot of things, operational things that you see in the field. So not only new things that are in the system. And I think Dr. Ziga did tell us a lot about how you can get new ideas. If you read a lot of magazines, if you read a lot of papers, you get to see what people are doing and what we can also be doing in our country. So those ideas come from reading. Yeah, it really comes from reading. Not, I can't off the top of my head, I cannot see everything that is new in our field. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to just add something small. Me, I'm too domestic person. Topical issues, I want our profession to start looking within. What you see, already the competition out there, as Prof. Laari said, when we went to Poland, and for us, the gentleman was doing an amazing thing. Then this German professor threw the whole thing out of gear. So let's concentrate on what is within. And I have so much hope within our friends who are practicing. Look, even though we are in the university, but you are practicing. And when you go to the field, you see a lot of stuff. I want you to come. Come to the seminar. I'm really passionate about those ones. That is the only way we can take that out. I'll give you one simple example and we move on. We're doing some work for Anglo-Gold resettlement. All along, I have only known sharecropping, ebunu ebusa, which relates to only farm. But here we are, we go to Tebri Bay, a small community, and they have share building. They have ebunu ebusa for building. There is a landowner who owns the land but doesn't have money to build. So he called someone who has money. You build 2 rooms for yourself. You build 1 room for me. This is so beautiful. If I were in my elements of writing, how are you going to compensate them? Even if you are to resettle them, how are you going to do it? Are you going to get the one with 1 room, another 80 by 80 or 100 by 100, when all the structures are on 1 plot? How are you going to deal with that? So that is the reason why I'm interested in those of you on the field. You are seeing a lot of these things and you are glossing over. Just bring them up. Like Dr. Andam said, we can't sit here and tell you that this is the topical issue. The topical issues are with you on the field there. So kindly bring them and then we will all help solve the problems.
All right. Thank you very much. Engineer Dr. Ebenezer Jamra, I think he's back online. So please, you can unmute and give us your contribution.
Yeah, hello, good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon. Am I online?
Respond. Yes.
I'm online. Okay, thank
Go
you
ahead,
very
please.
much. And,
Go ahead, please. Still speaking. Please go ahead.
So I'm happy that you are doing this, and God will bless you. I follow this to a certain line, and I thank the former director. I forgot, is that Mr. Addo-Tawiah? I forgot the name. Yeah, because he said that whatever we are doing it for those who are coming. We should be able to leave a certain legacy. Now, my other contribution has to do with the way we look for people to present at our seminars. We don't normally, I don't normally see calling for papers. I think they just send letters to some people they know they can present. So now that we are encouraging the people outside there in the field, those who are even having degrees and whatever it is to write up, maybe our next conference will even call for papers at the appropriate place that the other doctor said. It could be LinkedIn, it could be Facebook, it could be other journals calling for papers. Then we can know it is something like competition. When your paper is selected, the Kumi-Boateng is good, very good in those things. Then people are encouraged to write papers, because I was encouraged to write papers by Professor Kumi-Boateng. And since I started writing papers, I became so happy, and I was just writing it non-stop. But if my paper is doing well in my area, I mean, in my fraternity, I feel so happy that my paper should do well outside there. Though my papers have gone beyond the borders of the country, and they are doing very well there. I still believe that if I have a paper, maybe policy impacting paper, whereby I can say something.
Okay. All right. Your point is well made, and we shall open up for papers in the coming week. So thank you very much. Can we have Alexander Aite also give us his contribution? So please unmute.
Yes, thank you very much, Prof. Laari, and thank you to your panelists for a very insightful discussion. I have 2 contributions. One, I don't know if Dr. Ziga is still connected and able to respond.
Yes, I'm here.
Yes. So, Dr. Ziga, you talked about an area. I think you used it as an example in your delivery, and I think it's a very important area, not just for those in academia, but also those in industry. I want to ask if you were to situate a position when it comes to joy determination, because I've not seen any presentation at any of our seminars on the state of joy determination in Ghana. So if you were to situate this area, where would you put Ghana? So that's the first. And then my second one goes to the technical team for the FIG 2024. I think the FIG has an award, a surveyors award scheme for young surveyors. We in the YSN, we are actually considering starting something like a competition. And this is given every 2 years, even years. So it was given last year, 2022, and the next one will be in 2024. So we are trying to encourage young surveyors to present papers. So I want to propose if maybe the technical team can add it to their work, so that maybe if they will maybe assist the YSN to push this, so that next year when that award is given to that young surveyor will be a Ghanaian, rather than we having someone outside Ghana come and pick that award that will be given in Ghana. So I just want to call the team's attention to this. I think it's called the Surveyor Prize or something that is given every 2 years. So that is the contribution I have to make.
All right, thank you. So Dr. Ziga will take the first one.
Yes, thank you, Prof. Situating Ghana in terms of the droid determination. Actually, we have 2 Ghanaians who have done research work in droid modeling. One is Michael Klu, who is also a staff at SMD. I think he's at GRN. He worked on Stokes helmet approach to determine the droid. Then we have a second person, Caleb. He went to Hohai. He also did gravimetric droid modeling, but the techniques are different. Klu used the Stokes helmet approach, and then Caleb used the remove, compute, restore approach. With these 2 works, it is only Caleb's work that has been accepted and then uploaded onto the International Droid School website. So currently, these are the 2 works. The problem that we have, as you rightly said, droid is very important, because for us to solve our heightening issues, there is a need for us to have a height that is related to the Earth gravity field. And that is at that point that we can call it autometric height. What we have is based on the mean sea level that were densified across the country. So there are a lot of work that needs to be done. The issue with geodesy in our country, and I have to be honest, is data. Sometimes you get the data, but it's very limited. So when you even create a model, validating it is a problem. And I believe with these 2 works that have been done, if we had proper validation data available, we can easily validate the Stokes helmet approach countrywide, or even validate the remove, compute, restore approach that was used by Caleb countrywide. That is the problem that we have. So in terms of research in droid determination, we only have these 2 people going into it. But I believe that with time, when data becomes available, people would want to go into it and also try to solve our height problems. So that is what I can say in terms of the droid modeling with regards to Ghana. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. And your suggestion on the FIG is well noted. So if you were listening at a point, we said that we will appeal to ESCO at the Seminar Planning Committee to introduce some awards and some motivation. And past president even spoke about reaching out even to our students in the various institutions. And I said that the research committee, as part of our program, just like BB also said, we want to be intentional and get near to people so that it doesn't look far from people. And then we should be able to do those things. And I know by and large, it is even more of these YSM people that we should encourage and motivate to be able to do that. So that is well noted. So Basir, if you can also unmute and then give us your contribution. Basir Isa. Michael, have you unmuted? If not, we can take a final one from Cosmos Kantanka Safo. Okay.
Evening.
That's a good way of closing us from your network.
Hello.
Trying to hear his voice, so but I can read it. His network is. What are some of the measures put in place to make sure members are attracted to paper writing? I think that's almost what we just spoke about. And even this is one of the things I'm sure that all the practical discussions that we've put through today. That's why we didn't want it to be like 3-hour lecture. Then you start and we broke it down, made it in such a way that even we had our guest presenter, Dr. Ziga, who has done justice. And then look at the suggestions that have come. At least it has given us another way of re-looking at what we have been doing and see if we can try other ways that will make us better. And I think we have to also commend ESCO, CPD chair and team, and my committee too, Prof, our committee, at least, and then past president. Lizard must, a teacher for committee. That's okay. If we don't have any other thing that you see, when we go more, we'll be diluting what we have done today. So on this note, yes. So as we said, we shall give the call for papers early next week. And also past president will also put in place the finality of the sub teams, and then we put it on the page as soon as possible. And then I think that at the leadership level, the ESCO members that are around, we develop the strategy, see the people we can support. And then as soon as possible, the ones that are topical for Ghana, we can commission a team and they can work on it and make sure you said something, which I agree with you, Past President. Now, we don't do the lala sula lie. It's like there's some money, if even it's not big, but we can start somewhere. You can help industry and the teacher for, help the teacher for, and then when you help the teacher for, they also be able to write something and help the technical people. So I think that next time they are talking about paper, don't think it's A4 paper. It's just a chronology of bringing to bear that which you do. It's not any monster, and you don't need to go to any classroom. Like we have said, just keep it simple, but make sure that you are bringing to bear new methods, new things that we need to know, and problems that we need to put our eyes to. So I want to thank my colleague and senior men who have also done justice to it. And we thank you to our dear, wonderful people. And the CPD, they will do that. We will hand over to them. So this has been a good broadcast on 99.7. That is on the LSD. Oh, I think I'm on radio. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, panelists and our professors and doctor. Thank you very much for the presentation. May I please ask that we stand and then observe a minute silence for our departed brother, Kumi-Boateng. May his gentle soul rest in perfect peace. Amen. Well, all too soon, we've come to the end of our first CPD for the session, and I want to believe that we've learned a lot from our panelists. Myself, I've been challenged to make a presentation. I think with support from the Surv school students, we did some presentation last year, and that paper is featuring at FIG in the US as well. And I'm sure subsequently we'll try to do more and open up hydrography in Ghana. So it's something that I think we will surely look at doing. Thank you very much. I'd wanted to find out from LS Chair if he has comments to pass. I'll try calling him, but he's not picking his call. Chair, can you please give us a word? Okay. All right. So thank you very much once again for the massive participation. I can see from the webinar we were about 33, now dropped to 94, and then I think okay, and then the YouTube 46. Okay, that's quite interesting and encouraging. I think we'll keep it up, and our next CPD will be in June. The date will be communicated appropriately. The topic will be how to set up your own firm. It will be done by an external person together with our Office Inspectorate Directorate. And so I want to believe that when the time comes, we'll participate as well. We were actually expecting more people in-house than we have. So what it means is the provision we made for Chop Chop will have to be double for almost everybody. Those of you who were not able to make it, I'm sorry, we'll eat in your account. All right. So we call on Savia BB to give us the closing prayer, and then we can get out of this place. Yeah. Okay. All right. So we will sing the anthem, after which we'll Thank you. Closing prayer from Surv. Thank you. Final announcement from Welfare Committee.